Welcome, everyone, to a story about renewal and the power of unexpected second chances. Settle in and enjoy the journey. The afternoon sun spilled warmly through the tall windows of Serendipity Bridal Boutique, bathing Khloe Matthews in a soft, golden light as she spun before a full-length mirror. Her gown, a delicate blend of silk and lace, drifted around her like mist, just as she'd always imagined. Khloe bit her lip, glancing toward her best friend, Sarah Anderson, who lounged elegantly on a velvet settee behind her. Sarah's smile was sincere, but a flicker of something unspoken shadowed her eyes. "You look stunning, like something out of a dream," Sarah said, tucking a strand of dark hair behind her ear. "Liam won't know what hit him." Eleanor Matthews, Khloe's mother, circled her like a whirlwind, fluffing the train and straightening the veil. "The tailor did wonders with this dress. It fits like it was made just for you." "Mom, breathe," Khloe laughed, catching her mother's hands gently. "It's perfect. You can take a break. Rest. On your wedding day." Eleanor's eyes widened. "Not a chance. The cider donuts should be ready. Sarah, darling, come help me bring them out." As Sarah followed Eleanor into the boutique's small kitchen, Khloe caught a glimpse of her friend's reflection in the mirror. Something, a trace of jealousy, flashed across Sarah's face, but it vanished too quickly to be sure. "These donuts are incredible, Mrs. Matthews," Sarah said as they returned. "Definitely a New Hampshire treasure." "Oh, come now. You've called me Ella since you were 7, Eleanor replied with a fond smile. "You two have been inseparable since first grade. Ever since Sarah decked Tommy Wilson for yanking my braids," Khloe recalled with a laugh. "My childhood hero." Sarah chuckled. "Someone had to stand up for you. You were too busy getting lost in books to notice half of what went on around you." "Speaking of standing up," Eleanor interjected. "Sarah, isn't it about time you found someone yourself? Surely that fancy ad agency is full of eligible bachelors." "Mom," Khloe groaned, but Sarah just gave a light shrug. "The timing hasn't been right," she said breezily, though her voice held something quieter beneath the surface. "Career first for now. Not everyone lands their Liam on the first try." As if on cue, Khloe's phone lit up with a message. "Can't wait to see you in that dress tomorrow. Love you." The rest of the afternoon drifted by in a haze of laughter, fittings, and clinking champagne glasses. Outside, the sun sank behind Portsmouth's historic rooftops, painting the boutique in amber light. None of them could have guessed how much would change in the years ahead. In that moment, there was only happiness, friendship, and the shimmer of tomorrow. After Eleanor and Sarah left with the dress to store it safely at Khloe's family home, Khloe lingered alone in the boutique. She studied herself in the mirror one last time. The dress, the venue, the man, everything was falling into place. So why couldn't she shake the memory of Sarah's look? At Mason Creek Barn, fairy lights twinkled against weathered wood, casting the venue in a romantic glow beneath the twilight sky. Inside, the reception buzzed with joy. Guests filled the dance floor, swaying to a lively rendition of Sweet Home Alabama. Sarah lingered near the edge of the room, a flute of champagne in hand, her eyes locked on the newlyweds. "They look like a fairy tale couple, don't they?" a cousin of Khloe's remarked, appearing beside her. Sarah offered a faint smile. "They do." She watched Liam twirl Khloe across the floor, her friend's laughter rising above the music. The white gown shimmered beneath the lights, making her seem almost weightless. "Time for toasts." Eleanor's voice rang out above the music. "Sarah dear, you're up." Straightening her bridesmaid's dress, Sarah made her way to the small stage. Her hands trembled slightly as she unfolded a note and faced the crowd. "I've known Khloe since we were 6, she began, her voice calm though her heart pounded. "We've been through scraped knees, high school heartbreaks, and that awful haircut in sophomore year." The crowd laughed, and Khloe gave a mock gasp of outrage. "And now," Sarah continued, turning to the groom, "she's marrying the love of her life, Liam." Her voice held steady, but her pulse quickened as Liam's eyes found hers. "You'd better treat her right. She's the most remarkable person I've ever known." Khloe wrapped her in a hug, tears glistening in her eyes. Liam smiled, warm and lingering, just a beat too long. As the evening wore on, Sarah dove into the dancing, hoping movement would drown the feelings. But her gaze kept drifting back to Khloe and Liam, twirling in their own glowing world. "You all right?" Eleanor touched Sarah's arm gently. "Just feeling a little sentimental," Sarah replied, accepting another glass of champagne from a passing tray. "It's a lot, you know." The dinner plates had been cleared, replaced by slices of rich, local wedding cake. The air was sweet with the scent of summer blooms and the storm it promised. Sarah watched as Liam led Khloe into another slow dance, his hand resting low on her back. "I need some air," she murmured, slipping out through the barn's side door. The evening breeze cooled her skin but did little to soothe her mind. She couldn't unsee the way they looked at each other, like no one else existed. Escaping the crowd. "You jump." Liam stood behind her, holding out a glass of water. "Figured you might want this." Their fingers brushed as she took it, sparking something she wished she could ignore. "Shouldn't you be inside with your wife?" she asked. "She's dancing with her dad," he said, leaning casually against the barn's weathered exterior. "Your speech was beautiful." "I meant what I said." Her voice softened. She had, just not the way everyone believed. "She deserves happiness. So do we all. We have to find it," Liam agreed quietly. He straightened. "I should head back. You coming?" "In a bit." She watched him disappear inside, then closed her eyes against the sting of unshed tears. She'd get through this. She had to. For Khloe. Khloe stared at the untouched coffee in front of her, watching the steam curl and fade in the crisp morning air. Through the breakfast nook window, fog drifted over the harbor, blurring the outlines of fishing boats. 3 years into marriage, and here she sat, alone at 6:30 a.m., waiting for her husband to come home from yet another late night. The key rattled in the lock, and Liam's footsteps echoed across the hardwood floor. He stopped short when he saw her. "You're up early," he said, loosening his tie. His shirt was rumpled, hair mussed. "I never went to sleep," Khloe replied quietly. "Where were you?" He dropped his briefcase by the door. "Told you. Big merger at work. We stayed late." "Right." She traced the rim of her mug. "Strange though, I called around midnight. Jessica said you'd left hours ago." The silence between them thickened. Liam ran a hand through his hair, once a gesture she'd found charming. "Khloe, Don't," she cut in. "Just stop lying. Please." He sank into the chair across from her, the early sunlight unforgiving on his face. "I don't know what you want me to say. How about the truth?" Her laugh was brittle. "We used to be good at that, remember? Things change," he muttered. "They don't have to." She reached for his hand, but he pulled away. "We can fix this. Go to counseling. Try again." "I can't do this anymore." The words dropped like stones. "What? This marriage?" Her voice cracked. "Faking happiness while we fall apart." "I'm not faking anything." "You are," he said sharply. "Maybe that's the issue." She stared at him, stunned. "You think fighting for us is the problem. Maybe it is." He stood suddenly. "Maybe it's just not worth the fight anymore." Her heart twisted. 3 years. Our life together. None of it matters to you. I need space. He turned and walked into the bedroom. Moments later, he reappeared with a duffel bag, already packed. "You were planning this." Her voice was flat. "How long?" Liam didn't answer. He didn't need to. "Is there someone else?" It was the question she'd buried for months, yet now it spilled out like a final breath. Liam froze with one hand on the door, his back still to her. "I'm sorry, Khloe," he said quietly. Then the door clicked shut behind him. Khloe remained still, staring at the place he had stood just seconds before. Outside, the harbor glistened beneath the rising sun, oblivious to the wreckage left in its golden light. Her knees buckled before she could make it to the couch, and she crumpled onto the hardwood floor. Above her, their wedding portraits hung in cruel stillness. Two people captured in joy, unaware that forever had an expiration date. Her sobs came silent and deep, the kind that tear something loose inside. And when the pain finally dulled into numbness, all that was left was truth. Her marriage was gone. On the table the coffee went cold. Somewhere beyond the window a foghorn moaned, a mournful echo of her breaking heart. 6 months later, Khloe returned to the Portsmouth marketplace for the first time. The scent of cinnamon rolls and the low hum of weekend chatter stirred something inside her. Something like hope. She'd always loved this place, the rhythm of it, the way life spilled into the streets with baskets of produce and steaming coffee cups. Maybe today, normalcy could begin to stitch her back together. "Fresh strawberries, Miss Matthews," came the familiar voice of Mr. Parker from his produce stand. "First crop of the season." Khloe smiled as she approached. "How many times do I have to tell you to just call me Khloe?" "At least one more," he grinned, already gathering the reddest berries. "Haven't seen you in a while." "I've been." She hesitated, eyes on the strawberries. "Relearning how to breathe." He nodded slowly, understanding more than she said. In a small town, divorce didn't stay private for long. "We've missed that smile of yours." She reached into her purse, but then a sound sliced through the morning air. Laugh. A laugh she would have known in a crowded stadium, half asleep, or 10 years from now. Chloe's head snapped up, eyes scanning the marketplace. It couldn't be. But it was. Liam stood near the flower stall, smiling, his hand resting lightly on the curve of a woman's pregnant belly. The basket of strawberries slipped from Chloe's fingers and scattered across the cobblestones like spilled secrets. "Miss Matthews." Mr. Parker's voice reached her as if from underwater. Then the woman turned. Sarah, her childhood best friend, in a flowing sundress, glowing with motherhood, beaming at Liam like he was her home. Chloe's breath caught in her throat. The air twisted. Her stomach lurched. Sarah's eyes locked onto hers, and the smile vanished. Guilt flashed across her face. She tightened her grip on Liam's arm and whispered something urgent. Liam looked up. His face paled. He took a step toward Khloe, but she was already turning, shoving past strangers, desperate to outrun the moment. "Khloe, wait." Sarah's voice rang out behind her. But Khloe didn't stop. She fled, leaving strawberries, market chatter, and her illusions scattered behind her like ashes. By the time her legs gave out, she was 3 blocks away, collapsed onto a worn bench overlooking the river. She gasped for air, but nothing came. The puzzle pieces of the past year fell into place, each one sharp and damning. Distance. The dodged questions. The silence whenever she brought up Liam. Sarah had been there through every tear, every plea, every moment of doubt, and she had said nothing. Nothing. A couple strolled by, whispering to each other, casting sympathetic glances. Khloe didn't even see them. She had trusted Liam with her heart. She had trusted Sarah with her soul. And they had carved both open. Across the water, a ferry bellowed its horn. Gulls rose into the sky, free and unbothered. She wished she could follow them, lift away from this moment, from herself, from everything. But she couldn't. She sat frozen while the world moved on around her. Just another woman in the marketplace. Heartbroken, invisible, forgotten. 7 years passed, quiet as falling leaves. Each season carried something away. Naivete, dreams, trust. And just when Khloe thought nothing could bruise her more deeply than betrayal, fate whispered otherwise. It began with a cough. Persistent, dry, and brushed off as seasonal allergies by her ever-optimistic mother. "I'm fine, sweetheart," Eleanor said, snipping at her rose bushes with the same care she'd once reserved for Chloe's ponytails. "It's just the spring pollen. Always gets me." But this time it wasn't just pollen. And this time nothing, no promise, no second chance, could undo what was coming. Khloe spotted the house before Finn did. Quaint, slightly weathered, with peeling blue paint and a white picket fence just like he'd said. A yellow ribbon fluttered on the mailbox, and a large golden retriever barked once from the neighbor's porch before plopping down lazily. "There it is," Finn shouted, bolting ahead. A woman opened the screen door just as he reached the steps. She looked exhausted, dark circles under her eyes, a scarf tied loosely over her thinning hair. But when she saw her son, her whole face lit up. "Finn, where have you been?" Her voice broke on the last word as she dropped to her knees and wrapped him in her arms. "I got lost. But Khloe helped me." She looked up at Khloe, eyes glassy with relief. "Thank you. I didn't even realize he'd wandered off. I must have dozed off. The chemo's been..." She trailed off embarrassed. "No need to explain." Khloe offered a gentle smile. "He's a sweet kid." "I'm Jenna," the woman said, standing slowly, a little unsteady. "Would you stay for tea or something? It's the least I can do." Khloe almost declined. She still hadn't eaten, the train was long gone, but something made her say yes. Inside, the house was sparse but clean, filled with second-hand furniture and a vase of wildflowers wilting on the kitchen table. While Finn played with toy dinosaurs on the floor, Jenna poured 2 cups of weak peppermint tea. "I'm sorry," she said, noticing Khloe hesitate at the taste. "Everything tastes like metal these days, so I've gotten a little out of practice." "It's perfect," Khloe lied, sipping again. They talk about small things. Weather, local markets, the best bread at Brown's Bakery. Then heavier things, illness, fear, the rising cost of everything. Jenna spoke candidly, not for sympathy, but out of a quiet weariness that came from holding too much alone. "I keep telling myself I'll feel better next week," Jenna said, staring at her teacup. "But weeks come and go. And it's hard knowing he's watching." Khloe nodded. "My mom was the same. Brave right to the end. And my dad. He never really came back from it." Jenna met her eyes then, something unspoken passing between them. Recognition, perhaps. Not pity. Just 2 women acquainted with loss. "I'd like to help," Khloe said softly. "With Finn. With the garden even. If that's okay." Jenna's hand trembled slightly as she reached across the table. "Thank you. I didn't realize how much I needed someone to say that." When Khloe finally walked home under the blush of early evening sky, something inside her felt both heavy and light. She thought of Eleanor's roses, the ones that had bloomed late that year, just after her mother had passed. They'd waited for her. And maybe in some strange way, Khloe had waited for this moment too. A quiet return to purpose, to people, to life beyond survival. The river hummed in the distance. The stars were just beginning to emerge, shy in their ascent. Tomorrow, she'd bring Finn a packet of sunflower seeds. She had a feeling he'd like that. By the time they reached the quiet lane near the river's bend, dusk had begun to settle, painting the houses in warm amber light. Khloe spotted it first. The blue siding faded but clean, the white fence slightly chipped, and the unmistakable bark of a large dog announcing their arrival. Finn broke into a run. "That's him," he shouted, waving toward the golden retriever lounging next door. "That's Cooper." Khloe followed, her steps quickening as the front door of the house opened and a woman stepped onto the porch. Her thin frame leaned heavily against the doorframe, her scarf slipping slightly from her head. The fatigue in her face was clear, but so was the panic that gave way to sheer relief as she saw her son. "Finn," she gasped. "I got lost," he said, barreling into her arms. "But Khloe helped me." The woman knelt slowly to hug him, then lifted her eyes to Khloe. "Thank you," she said. Her voice was hoarse. "I must have drifted off. The chemo just..." She trailed off embarrassed, swaying slightly on her knees before catching herself. Khloe stepped forward instinctively. "You don't have to explain. I'm just glad we found our way." The woman straightened, brushing hair from her face with a trembling hand. "I'm Jenna. Khloe, would you like to come in?" Jenna asked, hesitation and gratitude mingling in her tone. "I have tea. It's not good tea, but..." Khloe smiled gently. "I'd like that." Inside, the house was modest, barely furnished, clearly lived in but clean. A quilted throw lay over the back of the couch, and a vase of wildflowers drooped in the kitchen window, struggling against the heat. Jenna moved slowly but with purpose, setting out 2 mismatched mugs and pouring hot water over tea bags. Finn sat cross-legged in the corner with his dinosaurs, humming to himself as if nothing had happened. As Khloe sipped the bitter peppermint brew, Jenna watched her with wary eyes. "It's hard," Jenna said suddenly. "Not just the treatments. It's everything. The silence. The way people look at you or don't. Like you've already disappeared." Khloe nodded. "I lost my mom to cancer. And my dad not long after. That silence you mentioned, it's loud." Jenna's mouth quivered. She blinked fast. "I didn't think I'd cry in front of a stranger." "You're not," Khloe said softly. "You're just breathing." They sat together for a long time without speaking. Outside, the dog barked again. Inside, Finn's dinosaurs crashed into each other with the boundless energy of youth. "I work in publishing," Khloe said, breaking the quiet. "From home mostly. Could stop by sometimes. Read to Finn if you need rest. Or help with groceries. Or just be here." Jenna stared at her, startled. "Why would you do that?" Khloe looked down at her tea. "Because I know what it's like to have no one left. And I think you're not supposed to go through this alone." For a long moment, Jenna didn't say anything. Then she nodded once. "Slowly. I'd like that," she whispered. "I need some time to sort my thoughts." "Of course." Sarah's sigh of relief was almost audible. It wasn't a rejection. Later that evening, Khloe lingered in her car, eyes fixed on the hospital's glow against the deepening sky. She couldn't rewrite the past, but perhaps she could forge a different future, one shaped by love for Finn and for them all. 40 days after the funeral, autumn draped Portsmouth Cemetery in fiery golds and crimsons. Khloe and Finn stood before Sarah's headstone, mist swirling around their ankles. "Do you think Mom can see me from up there?" Finn's small hand tightened around hers. She knelt beside him, his face, a mirror of Liam's, drawing a sharp breath from her. "She's with you," Khloe whispered. "And I know she's proud of your courage." Finn's lip trembled. "I miss her every day. But I'm being brave like she said I should." "It's absolutely okay to miss her," Khloe said, brushing back his scarf against the chill. "I miss her too. Even after everything." His question cut right to the heart. Khloe placed her palm gently on the cool marble. "Your mom and I had our struggles, but she taught me what really matters in the end." "What was that?" he asked. "Love," she replied, eyes glistening. "Different kinds of it, all just as true." He considered her words solemnly, scuffing his shoe in the grass. "She always said you had the biggest heart she'd ever known." Tears pricked at Khloe's eyes. "She spoke of me. All the time," Finn said softly. "She said I could always trust you, just like she did." A single leaf drifted onto Sarah's name. Khloe lifted it away. "Does it still hurt?" he asked after a moment. "Yes," Khloe admitted. "But the ache has changed. It's more like treasuring something precious." Finn nodded thoughtfully. "At least she's not hurting anymore." They stood in silence, watching the mist lift as the sun climbed. Khloe finally squeezed his hand. "Shall we head home? We have that Christmas pageant to get ready for." Finn's excitement faltered. "About that? What's on your mind?" He drew a shaky breath. "I need a snowman costume. All the boys get to be snowmen." "I didn't say anything, 'cause I know you've been so busy." "Finn." Khloe turned to him. "You can always tell me anything. That's what family is for." He looked down at his feet. I broke your favorite coffee mug. The blue one with the flowers. I was trying to make you breakfast like Mom used to." Khloe gathered him into a fierce hug, both of them surprised by her laugh. "It's just a mug," she murmured into his hair. "You're what really matters." Together they walked back through the cemetery, leaves drifting around them like slow confetti. In the distance, the Piscataqua River shimmered, ever moving toward the sea. "Can we stop for hot chocolate?" Finn asked as they reached the car. Extra marshmallows. Khloe smiled, remembering other autumns, other losses, and other fresh starts. Extra marshmallows it is. Life, she thought as they drove away, has a way of coming full circle. 7 years ago everything fell apart, and now she'd gained something she never knew she needed. A family rebuilt on love, resilience, and second chances. Sometimes the sweetest presents arrive in unexpected packages, even when they include a broken coffee mug.